little project we're working on today. We've got some fiberglass repair on a ASV RC30. For anyone that has an ASV, most of them have fiberglass, well, at least the older ones all have fiberglass body panels. I'm not sure on the newer models, but it's a very expensive part if you ever had to replace it. I believe this rear hood component off of a 2001 RC30 is, I want to say it's between $1,500 and $2,000 to replace if you damage one. And I'm not even sure about availability. It's just more of a, nobody wants to spend that kind of money on something that could get damaged again. So my particular machine was actually somewhat damaged when I got it. And I had a couple of issues that caused it to be much worse in the same places. I had tipped my machine on its side once, and that didn't really do a lot of it cracked a couple of the old fiberglass repairs that somebody had done, but it didn't really create any new problems. So what really led to this happening is I was towing, well, I had the skid loader on a trailer and I was towing it, and the hood came unlatched and basically blew off, which made a lot of problems. It broke. This was a previous repair that it broke all the way through, and it was not in good shape. It basically tore the hinge off the back of the hood. So I've already begun the first layer of fiberglass repair. Little disclaimer, I've never done fiberglass repair. I do not claim to be an expert. I've done quite a bit of research on it in the last couple of months because I knew this had to take place. So that's about my expertise level. I've heard of a ton of people that have no experience doing it and having a good outcome. So I'm hoping that I have the same results. So a couple of these spots I haven't done anything with yet. Like up here, I just clamped it together and I put one layer of fiberglass on the outside. This one was a substantial break from a previous incident before I owned the machine. I already have one layer of fiberglass put on there. So for anyone that's not really fluent on how this works, you basically mix up the fiberglass resin. There's a can of resin they send out, part of the kit, and there's a little container of hardener. You just dump in just a little bit of hardener into the resin, and you've got about 20 minutes to do your patch. So basically you just put the resin on, you put some fiberglass matting down. I've got some of that over here laying on this mess of a workstation. So you just cut your pieces to fit, and then like this is a little easier to see. I put a little rectangle on this outer part, starts about right here and ends about right there. I just did one layer on the outside for now. They say wait about 20 to 30 minutes minimum between layers. They actually recommend it's completely hard for best results, but there's a lot of different angles on what the right and wrong way to do it is. So I'm hoping to figure out some tricks to this process. Hopefully it's not something I have to do very often. Hoping I fix this and we're good for several years. Yeah, and you just keep adding layers, and when you get it to your desired thickness, or you have your patch basically made, then you sand it down and paint it up. So we'll see how it goes. This is the fiberglass repair kit that I got. Not saying this is the one to go with. I just got it off Amazon, or I think it was Amazon. It's like $35. I mean, quite inexpensive, really. I went to the local auto parts store and I planned on getting a bunch of stuff there, but you had to basically buy all the separate pieces, and it would have been like over $100 in parts to make this happen. And then it was mostly bulk items. So I mean, maybe it wasn't a bad deal, but I didn't need 50 square feet of product. This kit has 6 square feet, which should be more than plenty for what I have to do. I'm thinking I have like 6 different spots I'm going to repair. I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to probably amount to like 2 or 3 square feet by the time I'm done. So, yeah, that's where we're at. All right, we're just getting into the Bondo stage, which I do not claim to be great at body work and or Bondo. We've got some work to do yet. I mean, it's got a ways to go. The fiberglass was pretty rough, so I'm trying to even that out a little bit with the Bondo before I really try to finesse it just as beautiful as I'd like it to be. Obviously, there'll be plenty of sanding that takes place, but as I patched this fiberglass, I found problem after problem after problem. Basically, there was cracks all over this thing. Some of them were just small little cracks. Some were pretty substantial. So we're making progress, but it's definitely a full overhaul. All right, I'm a couple days into this project, just kind of working on it whenever I got a little bit of free time. It's been snowing the last 2.5 days straight. We've got almost 12 inches of fresh snow outside, so when you spend 2 hours plowing snow every night, that really cuts into your project time. But anyway, this is probably the second or third pass on Bondo. I got a little bit more work to do on this one. It's still a little rough, but just trying to fill in the big holes for the first couple passes. This one just needs a little tune-up, but it's not looking too terrible. This one should sand out and be pretty good, I think. And once again, I don't claim to be a fiberglass expert. I just done plenty of research, and I like to believe I know enough to be dangerous. So, yeah, these couple areas are looking pretty good given the condition they started out at. So this thing was in bad shape all around. There's just about every inch of this thing got anywhere that's shinier is areas that were freshly fiberglass. So there's some over there, some down there, some over there. This corner was completely reworked. It was just shattered to a million pieces. That crossbar was completely broke. It was dangling by a thread. This was just destroyed over here. And there was a little bit more repair here. This was cracked, kind of just rippled all the way across. So I did a little tune-up on that. But I'm hoping that we are getting close to sanding and painting here. I do plan on getting some new graphics for it at some point. I think it would really make the finished product look better, because obviously when I paint it, I realistically should take these graphics off and replace them. They're in bad shape. It doesn't pay to tape them off and paint around them. And the rest of the machine could use a little, I mean, if I get a sticker kit or a decal kit, I'll just do the whole machine, and maybe I'll touch up some of this paint along the way and freshen it up a little bit. Obviously, I don't want the machine too nice, because then you're afraid to get scratches. So, but yeah, a little freshen up probably wouldn't hurt, and get this thing looking tip-top again. Little sneak peek on my super organized, except not organized, work area. Started out real clean, and then I got fiberglass repair stuff here, and then it was Bondo parts, and then electrical stuff from a different project, and I kind of got way too much going on this cart right now. So Anybody that's ever done Bondo, I guess, is familiar with it. For those who are not, I just got a little container of Bondo. It is a 14 ounce, I believe. You just put a little bit like this. Like I've just been putting it on a piece of cardboard. You could put it, I guess, wherever you want, but it gets hard and basically makes the cardboard unusable after a minute. So I wouldn't use anything too nice. And then you take a little bit of this hardener that comes in the kit, and you only need like a 1 inch or 1.5 inch strip of hardener on a cluster like that. So it doesn't take much hardener. You mix it up, and within I would say 10 to 15 minutes it's hard, so you've got to work quick. I got a couple of these squeegees for squeegeeing it out. This was actually part of a larger one. I actually cut off a piece of this one because I didn't need a huge squeegee, and I have even another big one. So I've been using this, and once you get into some of these tighter spots like these corners, actually using your finger actually is not a terrible idea. I've tried about every option under the sun, and in some of the curved areas I think the finger actually works the best. All right, I think we are about ready for paint. I've got all this stuff sanded out real, well, what I consider real nice. I think it'll paint up nice. It's not perfect, but I never really expected it to be. I would say it's should turn out all right. Just got one more spot, actually 2 more spots I got to sand out. There was some battle scars that I didn't see when I had the cover flipped over. So other than that, all this stuff is pretty much ready to go. I might tune it up just a little bit, but it's pretty smooth. It looks a lot rougher than it really is in the video, but it's pretty smooth. Yeah. What I figured was a key element in this whole process, I got one of these sanding wheels for on a drill. Works great in these corners to kind of work the corners and keep them round. Other than that, I had a palm sander, which is underneath there, for the big flat open areas. It seemed like it worked pretty well. A lot of the pros that do this stuff for a living, most of them have air tools. I'm not really set up for that. So I went the battery tool and corded tool route. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. All right, we are ready for the final shot of primer, I believe, and get this thing painted up. Pretty much did some patchwork in several different places. Once I get the last coat of primer on, we'll know for sure on if we have to fix any other spots. I had bondoed and then primered, and then I sanded out some rough spots again. So if we find any more, seems like once you get the primer on, then if there's any imperfections, they will pop out at you. I lightly scuffed the entire thing. We're going to plan on painting the whole thing, so that way it's all matching. First coat of paint is on, and looking all right. Obviously, it's never going to be as good as brand new, but it's turning out pretty good. Yeah, there's a few imperfections, but what do you expect? It was just about dumpster material when I started, so I mean, this is substantially better than it was. So, got the second coat of paint on today. It's turning out pretty good. I think it's going to be just fine for my application. There's obviously a few imperfections, but like I said before, I don't claim to be a professional. Maybe could have done a little nicer job in a few spots, but I think it turned out okay. There's a half a chance that it's just going to get damaged sometime in the future. I mean, I live in the woods, and as I'm sure I've mentioned in several other videos, so there's always tree branches and things rubbing against this. Starting to get the weather stripping and everything put back on the ASV hood. I actually had some different weather stripping for around the border of this thing. I don't remember where it was from. It was left over. Somebody was throwing it away a long time ago. I grabbed it. I figured that I would probably come up with a use sooner or later. So the original stuff looks something like this. The stuff that I am putting on is a little bit heavier duty. Let's see if I can get a comparison here. So the bigger stuff is the stuff I'm putting on at this point. The old stuff that I have was in bad shape. I'm going to keep it just in case this doesn't work out, but the old stuff was in bad shape, so I'm going to give it a try, put some better stuff on, and hopefully it lasts a little longer. So, got to re-drill all my hinge holes. Going to be a little bit of trial and error here to get this thing dialed in. I had to re-drill a bunch of the rivet holes, so I have to re-rivet all of these. So we'll get there. I painted all of the vents for over the side holes. I just spray painted all of them. I am doing a little bit of painting on the ASV. The front I haven't touched. I mean, you can see there is plenty of scratches and scrapes and whatever. So as I've been working on the hood for the back, I figured I might as well fix up basically the entire back of the machine, so that way when I put the hood on, I won't have to touch it anymore. Well, at least that's the theory. So I got quite a bit. I got to add at least another coat of the Caterpillar yellow on the back, and then I'm going to repaint the bottom black part and get that all freshened up. But I think one more coat of yellow and the back part should be all good. I had to scuff up a few spots. I had a few runs from the first paint job. This implement paint is pretty thin stuff, so it doesn't take much to get a run. And it doesn't always happen right away. Sometimes it's like an hour after you're done and you're not necessarily paying attention. So my plan is to paint the entire machine. I'm trying to do it in phases. There's a nice stopping point right there that I don't think you'll see it when it's all said and done if I blend the paint together. So I'm trying to do, I don't want to rush it, so I'm trying to do a good job. So I figured if I do it piece by piece, I'll take a little more time at it and be a little bit more thorough. I'm in the process of putting the hinges back on. I'm not sure, I'm going to have to look on some images online to see what they were originally supposed to look like. This is what I ended up with. In my original scenario, I'll try to insert a picture in the video if I can, but the weather stripping had stopped before the hinge and started after the hinge. So there was a little strip in the middle, and then there was no weather stripping, and then it took off again. So I ran a continuous piece across, which I think looks way better, and it actually looks like it might be factory. I'm going to try to figure out, see if I can find a picture of what they were originally built like from the factory, because whatever mine was like, I don't think it was right, or if it was how they did it, it seemed kind of questionable, I guess. So yeah, we got these all put back together. Another thing that I was playing with is these hinges. I think you could probably put them on either way. Mine were installed this way with the removable slider bolts on the hood portion. and then this was mounted on the machine. I think you could probably almost do it either way. I was weighing out the options of flipping it, doing it the other way. I think it would depend on your fit of your hood. So the bolt pattern is the same. So in the event that it fits like crap, maybe I'll flip it around and try it the other way. Previously, the hood almost appeared as though it was raised up on the back of the machine. So with this thicker weather stripping I put on here, or this gasket or whatever you want to call it, I'm hoping that it fits better. Got it all put back together. I think it turned out pretty good. There's obviously plenty of imperfections, but this machine's going to get used. I'm going to drive it around in the woods, probably get it scratched up. So I mean, obviously I don't want it to be absolutely perfect, but it looks 100 times better than it did when I started. So yeah, really happy with the outcome. I've got stickers ordered. I'm sure by the time I post a video, I'll probably have those on. So kind of excited about the way it turned out. The back half of the machine is pretty well wrapped up. Got all the graphics on. And I think I'm ready to call this a success. I plan on repainting the front half to make it look all nice like the back. It's not perfect, as I've mentioned in previous clips, but I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, I'm going to use this machine to its full potential, so I don't expect it to be absolutely flawless in every way, but it would be nice to give it a full refresh and get it back to where it was, I don't know, 22 years ago. So we'll keep working on it. I wish I could have got more video footage of the entire process of the fiberglass and the paint and all that stuff. My GoPro that I normally use for some of my time-lapse stuff decided it was done, so I'm going to have to get a new one of those or something like that to take videos of the process.